Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I am Deepika Mehtu, and coming up in the next half an hour. India and Malaysia signed several MoUs after their Prime Ministers hold talks in New Delhi, elevate their ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership, decide to renew a comprehensive economic cooperation agreement. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls for a stronger partnership with Japan ahead of talks among their foreign and defence ministers in New Delhi. US President Joe Biden delivers a farewell speech at party's convention, says, "Gave you my best, America," passes the torch to Kamala Harris. And US Secretary of State Antony Blinken says Israel has accepted a Gaza ceasefire bridging proposal, urges Hamas to do the same. India and Malaysia strengthened their bilateral ties by signing multiple Memorandum of Understandings at Hyderabad House in New Delhi on Tuesday. The signing ceremony was attended by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Malaysian Prime Minister Dato Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim, who also held a joint press meet. The agreements covered various areas including worker employment, traditional medicine, digital technology and cultural exchange. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed Malaysia as an important partner in the Indo-Pacific region and assured complete support for Malaysia's ASEAN presidency in 2025.
इंडो-पैसिफिक क्षेत्र में मलेशिया भारत का अहम पार्टनर है। भारत आसियान सेंट्रलिटी को प्राथमिकता देता है। हम सहमत हैं कि भारत और आसियान के बीच एफटीए की समीक्षा को समयबद्ध तरीके से पूरा करना चाहिए। 2025 में मलेशिया की सफल आसियान अध्यक्षता के लिए भारत पूरा समर्थन देगा। हम अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कानूनों के अनुरूप फ्रीडम ऑफ नेविगेशन और ओवरफ्लाइट के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है और सभी विवादों के शांतिपूर्वक हल का पक्ष रखते हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India and Malaysia should increase cooperation in the sectors of semiconductors, fintech, defense industries, artificial intelligence and quantum technology as well.
सेमीकंडक्टर, फिनटेक, रक्षा उद्योग, एआई और क्वांटम में हमें आपसी सहयोग बढ़ाना चाहिए। हमने भारत और मलेशिया के बीच कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन एग्रीमेंट के रिव्यू में गति लाने पर बल दिया है। डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी में सहयोग के लिए डिजिटल काउंसिल की स्थापना करने का और स्टार्टअप अलायंस बनाने का निर्णय लिया है। भारत के यूपीआई और मलेशिया के पे नेट को जोड़ने के लिए भी काम किया जाएगा। आज सीईओ फोरम की मीटिंग से नई संभावनाएं सामने आई हैं।
Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar bin Ibrahim said that both the countries will increase their cooperation in several fields, including digital investments and trade.
We have agreed to enhance further and make it a comprehensive strategic partnership. Yes, Malaysia and India from the days of Jawaharlal Nehru and Tunku Abdul Rahman has established good relations. But we realize under our generation that this must be further strengthened in a multitude of areas, which covers.
Earlier, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi met his Malaysian counterpart Anwar Ibrahim at the Hyderabad. And before that, let's go across to live media briefing by Ministry of External Affairs on the state visit.
We are also joined by our High Commissioner to Malaysia, High Commissioner Shri B.N. Reddy, and Shri Ashish Sinha, Joint Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs, who looks after Malaysia. With that, I welcome Secretary East to make his opening remarks. Sir.
Thank you, Randhir, and a very warm welcome to all of you for this special briefing on the visit of the Prime Minister of Malaysia, His Excellency Anwar Ibrahim, to India from the 19th to the 21st of August. This is the first visit of Prime Minister Ibrahim to India as Prime Minister, and it assumes significance. Firstly, because it is his first visit as Prime Minister since he took over in end of 2022. Secondly, also the fact that we are nearly approaching 10 years of our enhanced strategic partnership with Malaysia, which was announced when Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji had visited Malaysia in 2015. As you would have seen from the press statements between the two leaders earlier today, it was marked by great warmth and personal rapport between the two leaders. Prime Minister Shri Anwar Ibrahim, when he was not yet in office, had visited India in 2019 for the Raisina Dialogue, when he had called on Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, and they had developed a very close rapport and personal connection, which was visible, very much visible today in the interactions that they had and the way forward that they have charted for the two countries. In fact, they decided that they would enhance the relationship between India and Malaysia to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Prime Minister Mr. Anwar Ibrahim arrived yesterday and was accorded a ceremonial welcome today at Rashtrapati Bhavan. This was followed by a visit to Rajghat, where he paid tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. He held bilateral talks with the Prime Minister, and later this afternoon he will call on Rashtrapati ji. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar also called on the Malaysian Prime Minister. He will also address the Indian Council for World Affairs later this afternoon. Since Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has assumed office in 2022, our relationship has really taken an upward swing. There have been more than 15 bilateral visits at the level of minister or deputy minister, and this is reflected in the very wide range of engagement that we have today between India and Malaysia, and the chart that we have charted for the relationship going forward. Today they had extensive discussions on trade and commerce, on defense and security, on cultural exchanges, people-to-people ties, on emerging areas like digital technologies, semiconductors, renewable energy, and sustainable development. As you know, we have very, very close people-to-people connection with Malaysia. The Indian diaspora is the third largest in the world, numbering about nearly 3 million, about 2.9 million, and it is the second largest PIO community, numbering about 2.75 billion, excuse me. It is also home to many skilled and unskilled workers and IT professionals from India who participate in the Malaysian economy and contribute to its growth and development. There were several important agreements that were signed during this time. Today, we have an important area is in the recruitment, employment, and repatriation of workers. This is quite a signal memorandum of understanding, because it paves the way for the welfare of Indian workers, ensuring their welfare and their proper conditions of work, as well as repatriation. And this is something that both sides have been working on for some time, and it will go a long way, not only in securing the welfare of Indian workers, but also opening up the entire field of employment in Malaysia that is open to foreign workers, for Indian workers as well. Another MoU that was signed was in the area of public administration and governance reform, a third on digital technologies, one on cultural cooperation, an agreement on tourism promotion. As you know, the India-Malaysia tourist traffic is booming. It is expected that we may touch as much as 1 million Indian tourists to Malaysia this year, and the number of Malaysian tourists to India is also growing rapidly. We are around 200,000 Malaysian tourists to India. The number of flights are 220 flights a week from between India and Malaysia, and we look forward to increasing this number. We have announced free e-visas for Malaysian tourists coming to India since the 1st of July. And Malaysia similarly has a visa-free regime for Indians, both for tourism and business purposes, starting from the end of last year. So from all these accounts, we can expect our tourism traffic between the two countries, as well as business travel to boom, which will also help our aviation sectors. Another area of cooperation that we identified and signed an MoU was on Ayurveda and traditional medicine systems. There is an agreement between IFSCA and Labuan Financial Services on fintech, and another MoU on promotion of sports and youth affairs. Both sides have a CEOs forum, a high-powered CEOs forum, which met yesterday and presented a report before the two prime ministers. It will be published, and you will see that it is a very ambitious objective in diverse areas of industry and investment between the two business entities. This was coordinated by CII from our side. A number of other MoUs and agreements also happened on the sidelines of the visit. One was between BEML and SMH Rails for supply of rolling stock for Indian Railways. One between Invest India and Malaysian Indian Business Council, and one between NASSCOM and its counterpart PICOM to bring the two chambers of IT industry closer together. As you know, there's a very big presence of Indian IT companies in Malaysia as well. Some important announcements that were made during this visit to support Malaysia in its quest for food security. We have announced that we will supply another 200,000 metric tons of non-basmati rice to Malaysia. A chair of Ayurveda will be set up at the Tunku Abdul Rahman University in Malaysia, and a Tiruvallavur chair will be set up at the Malay University. A digital council is being set up to push the digital connect between India and Malaysia. A startup bridge has been instituted to bring our startup ecosystems together. Malaysia has announced its support for India's claim for a permanent seat in the UN Security Council. India is offering 100 ITEC seats in artificial intelligence, cyber security, and machine learning for Malaysian students. And Malaysia has also announced joining the Big Cat Alliance. So as you will agree, this is a very rich and diverse area of bilateral cooperation. Both countries agree on this ambitious and contemporary agenda for bilateral ties. Our bilateral trade has also been booming. It's now touched $20 billion. Malaysia is our third largest trading partner in ASEAN. Fintech startups, cross-border payments systems, and UPI-based systems are the new drivers of our engagement with Malaysia. And we look forward. The two prime ministers have in fact tasked us to set up a task force to implement all the diverse areas of engagement that we have identified during this visit, and to present a report within 3 months. So it is something that we will start working right from today. So that is it for me as far as the briefing on the visit is concerned, but if you have any questions, I would be happy to attempt to answer them.
Let's start from that corner now, this time. Reza.
Reza from the Hindustan Times. Just wondering if the issue of Zakir Naik figured in the talks and whether we are seeing this visit of the Malaysian Prime Minister as a kind of an opportunity to reset from the period where we had a bit of a downturn over issues like Kashmir and the CAA.
Yeah. Sudhir.
Sir, Shruti Ranjan from Bloomberg, sir. Sir, I wanted some clarity on the labor agreement that you spoke about. And also, sir, this 200,000 metric tons of basmati, non-basmati rice, is it a one-time decision or is it a annual kind of a contract that we have done, sir?
Ayushi.
So good afternoon, this is Ayush Shewal from ANI. So one question, a follow-up question on Zakir Naik. Can you expand more on the discussion related to the terrorism and extremism since the Prime Minister in his opening remarks mentioned about it? So were there any talks of extradition? Also, were there any discussion related to Malaysia's keenness in joining the BRICS forum? Did the Prime Minister seek India's support for his accession to BRICS? Thank you.
Uma.
So I'm Huma Siddiqui from the Financial Express. I have two questions. One is that there were also mention of the FTA between India and Malaysia and FTA with ASEAN. If you can expand a little bit on that. And what about the defense and security? Malaysia was interested in buying some military platforms from India. Was that also discussed?
So.
Thank you. The last point I wanted to take first because I think I omitted to mention the defense and security pillar. And you're absolutely right. This is an important area of our engagement. And it was discussed between the two prime ministers, both in terms of the compatibility of equipment that we have and how we can cooperate in that area in terms of maintenance and extending service life of such equipment. And also in terms of India being a source country for defense exports, that has happened over the last few years. India has emerged as a country that is able to put forward defense platforms and equipment that other countries have found useful. And it was also discussed that that Malaysia could look at India for sourcing such equipment and platforms. We already have significant exchanges between our defense forces, both in terms of training as well as exchanges. We also participate in exercises, so it was discussed as to how to take that relationship forward. And there is absolutely no hesitancy on either side in carrying this forward. On the other questions, let me just say that in the very wide-ranging and comprehensive discussions that both sides had, many issues were discussed, and many issues that have come up in the past as well were discussed. I don't want to go into any specifics, but it was a very wide-ranging discussion on issues that are important for both countries. They also discussed about extremism and radicalism, and as you know, both sides, both leaders are see eye to eye on that issue and how it is important to address issues of extremism and how to counter radicalism. On the labor front, the agreement is important because it also annexes a model contract between employers and employees, which should be really like a lodestone, like a guiding post on how such model contracts should be for foreign workers. So we are very happy with that. It also lays down the obligations of employers and employees clearly, and the welfare measures that are required to address issues of employee welfare and about their repatriation. Regarding the 200,000 tons of rice, it is at the moment a one-off offer. Regarding BRICS, yes, BRICS was discussed. Malaysia is keen to become a member of BRICS. And from our side, we said we have no hesitation in considering that request, and that this will be discussed, no doubt, when the other BRICS countries meet. The FTA with ASEAN was discussed in the context of the ITIGA. Malaysia is going to be the chair of ASEAN. It is also the coordinating country for economic matters at the moment, so its role is important in speeding up the ITIGA discussions, and we hope that by 2025 we will have reached agreement on that. I hope I have not left anything out.
More questions? Abhishek?
Hi, this is Abhishek from CNN News 18. My question is regarding this rupee and ringgit trade that Prime Minister mentioned. What is the level of, if you could explain that? And also about this rupee and the Malaysian counterpart of the same. From when we can see this being started, and from when these 1 million Indian tourists who visit Malaysia can actually use rupee and other UPI cards in Malaysia?
Neeraj?
जी सर, मैं नीरज दुबे प्रभा साक्षी से सर मेरा सवाल जाकिर नाइक के मुद्दे पे, हालांकि आपने इसका जवाब दे दिया सर। जाकिर नाइक के मुद्दे पर बातचीत हुई है, आतंकवाद और अतिवाद के मुद्दे पर जो चर्चा हुई है दोनों देशों के बीच, उस पर क्या प्रगति हुई सर?
Elena?
Elena, TASS News Agency. For the last at least 2 years, as far as I remember, we regularly see in the media or somewhere else that Malaysia and India are discussing the supplies of Indian-made BrahMos missiles. I do understand the sensitivity of issues related to defense sector, but can you please just clarify, are the countries negotiating the supplies of these missiles to Malaysia? And second question on BRICS again, under discussion, what kind of membership of Malaysia in the bloc? Partner or full membership? And what is the importance of, from India's point of view, what is the importance of Malaysia's future potential join to BRICS? Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. So, Dheere Maheshwari. So, my question is regarding the ASEAN centrality, which Prime Minister Modi also mentioned in his remarks during the joint press statement. Is there a sense that the ASEAN centrality is being challenged amid major geopolitical rivalries, sir? If you could give us, sense of what the leaders think and if there's any convergence of interests on these. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, on the question of rupee, I will defer to our High Commissioner. I think he may be more up to date on that subject. Not on the rupee, on the rupee trade, on the rupee ringgit trade. Would you like to take that first?
Yes.
And you can address rupee as well, if you wish.
Thank you, sir. Just want to clarify that the rupee, particularly the trade settlements in Indian rupee, started from April last year. And we had this Union Bank of India, which has opened this special Vostro account in India, which started facilitating the transactions of the trade settlements in Indian rupees. In terms of how popular it is, I think I would say that it's in early stages. It's getting traction among the businesses on both sides. Our Commerce and Industry Ministry has urged the Indian exporters who are dealing with Malaysia to take this particular route more often, but to the rupee trade route. On the other hand, we did several road shows in Malaysia, bringing in the Malaysian banks together, which are actually having trade links with the Indian side, which are providing support to the Malaysian traders, as also the kind of various trade organizations in Malaysia. So I would, this will take time because straight away moving from this particular settlement. Now today, I think is another important milestone because as our Secretary Sir has mentioned, that there is a clear direction given by the leadership of the two countries that this will be further enhanced in the days and years to come. On the RuPay, it is too early to talk about RuPay actually being available in Malaysia because currently the payment gateways of the two countries are in close consultations, and it would be suffice to say at this point in time that there is a great interest in Malaysia of the success that we have achieved in digital payments. As you all know, in fact today the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, did mention that 50% of the global digital payments are just happening in India alone. So this, they are very attracted to this fact that this digital payments not only taking place within the country, eventually we could do the cross-border payments if we had a similarly placed platforms such as UPI. So the discussions are on the way. Thank you.
And on issues of terrorism, etc., as I have said before, both leaders discussed about the importance of tolerance, of racial harmony, of religious tolerance and religious harmony. And as you know, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has himself been a very great advocate of harmony, interreligious harmony, inter-ethnic harmony, and therefore it was in that context that both leaders discussed these issues. Regarding BrahMos missile, there were no specifics discussed in terms of platforms or weapon systems during the discussions, but cooperation in general as to how India and Malaysia can be complementary and cooperative with each other in terms of the defense platforms and systems. As regards BRICS membership, there are, of course, different views within BRICS as to what kinds of categories of members there should be, or so there is really no unanimity among BRICS countries about whether further expansion is going to be possible in the same category of membership as full membership, or some others wish to have a separate category of kind of dialogue partners system. So this was not discussed. It was only discussed that Malaysia has put forward their desire to be a member of BRICS, and India would be fully supportive and discuss this with the other members of BRICS in this context. We see Malaysia as a very close partner, as a very important partner, as a close neighbor, and a country that can bring significant value to any partnership that they wish to join. ASEAN centrality, there is no doubt that ASEAN is central, whether it is in the Indo-Pacific context, whether it is in the East Asia context, whether it is in the Quad context. ASEAN is really a very central actor to whatever we do in this region. And we say it very often because it is the truth and we believe in it.
So two more questions this side. Gautam?
Sir, ASEAN has been pursuing for peace process in Myanmar, and Malaysia would be chairing the next year. Whether in this context any discussion regarding Myanmar is figured when the two prime ministers talk.
This is Manas Pratim Guyan from PTI Press Trust of India. Did the two sides discuss the situation in the South China Sea, especially about China's increasing military muscle flexing in the region? And my second question is about the procurement of defense platforms. Last year, India lost out on the Malaysian fighter jet deal. Initially, Malaysia had shown interest in procuring Tejas. So, are we hopeful of supplying the platform, as Hindustan Aeronautics Limited has already set up an office in Malaysia? Thank you.
Reza.
Reza from the Hindustan Times. One clarification. will this MOU on labor, on recruitment, will it supersede the 2009 MOU?
Last question, Sadhana.
सर मैं सपना साधना ग्रुप से। सर प्रधानमंत्री जी ने आज कहा कि बिजनेस से रिलेटेड जो बातचीत हुई आगे बढ़ाने के लिए मलेशिया के साथ उनको एनहेंस करने की बात कही, तो सर उस पर कोई स्पेसिफिक स्ट्रेटेजी पे आज बातचीत हुई जिस पे काम करेंगे आगे?
On Myanmar, of course, since we covered a very large number of areas of mutual interest, Myanmar is a very close neighbor of India's and also of Malaysia's and a member of ASEAN. And therefore, Myanmar did come up for discussion, and both sides felt that it was important that peace be maintained in Myanmar, and that ASEAN remains engaged with it to see how the 5 principles that ASEAN has identified to deal with Myanmar can be used to bring about a sustainable peace in Myanmar. Regarding the South China Sea, it did come up in the context of the importance of free and open sea lines of communication, free navigation, commercial shipping and overflight. So in that context, it did come up, the importance of these. These are important issues not only in the South China Sea, but also as we see in the Arabian Sea as well, where we have had major disruptions in shipping. So yes, these issues did come up as things that we both need to address in terms of ensuring that the sea lines of communication are open, and they are important for energy security, for food security, and for industrial development. Yes, HAL has opened an office in Kuala Lumpur. As I said before, we did not discuss upon specific platforms, but HAL, of course, produces a range of different aircraft. So Malaysia is a country which could be interested in both defense platforms as well as aircraft that can be used for other purposes, whether it be for transport or reconnaissance and things like that. So there are different types of platforms that we could HAL could offer to Malaysia. On the 2009 MOU, I will defer to our High Commissioner. He wishes to say something on it. Regarding the strategy for business, I would say that both sides have identified a range of in fact, the refrain was that the last few years were in a way lost opportunity between the two countries, and that both of them needed to really look at the way in which our industries, our businesses can work together in carrying this relationship much further ahead than what it is at the moment. So in a range of areas, whether it is in semiconductors, in which Malaysia has a long history of experience, whether it is in renewable energy, in terms of the infrastructure that India is building, the participation of Malaysian companies in that infrastructure, in a very wide range of such areas. The CEO's Forum has also identified the action points that need to be taken up between the two industry bodies, and therefore we will see much more action on that. And on the 2009 MOU, you can take.
Thank you, sir. Just to clarify, the 2009 MOU on welfare of workers is expired many years back. As against that, what we have signed today is, as the Secretary Sir has clarified a little while ago, it talks about quite apart from welfare dimensions, but also it has this recruitment and employment dimensions. And with a contract, draft contract, which is attached with this particular MOU. So what it does is, as a result, it gives a comprehensive framework for any Indian worker going to Malaysia, that there are certain well spelt out, I would say, assurances from both the governments, particularly in this case the Malaysian side. As you know, Malaysia has about 15 source countries from where the workers come, but the large majority of them within the region, but India is emerging. We have currently 140,000 Indian workers in Malaysia. This is the highest number that we have reached ever in terms of the recent times. As also in this particular MOU, for the first time it explicitly clarifies, as Secretary Sir mentioned a little while ago, that the Indian workers will be allowed to work in all sectors which are open to foreign workers, which was not there before. So this is another explicit mention that comes in. Third is also there is a provision for kind of, as you know, there is a e-migrate that we in the government of India we follow for workers who are emigrating to other countries for work. So there is a provision for let's say linking it with Malaysian counterpart. So this is something we will all be working, because this will further help in many ways both the governments in identifying the location of the workers where they are currently deployed, and also assess from the companies from where they are in terms of more details about their welfare. And the last but not the least, today also the Minister of Human Resources of Malaysia, he's actually in Kuala Lumpur, he's in Delhi and part of the delegation, and he is going to continue his discussions tomorrow also with our Ministry of Skill Development and other ministries. So in this context, just let me, coming back to the MOU, this is one of the comprehensive MOUs that Malaysia has signed with India for the first time.
Thank you. With that, we come to the closure of this special press briefing. Thank you, sir, for joining, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for participating in this special briefing. Thank you.
It was a special briefing by Ministry of External Affairs on Malaysian Prime Minister's visit to India, which they say is a significant visit since the Malaysian Prime Minister's first visit and nearly approaching 10 years of enhanced strategic partnership between both India and Malaysia. There have been more than 15 bilateral meetings at different ministerial levels between both the countries so far. Trade, defence, cultural exchanges, semiconductors, sustainable development and all other important sectors were also discussed during the current visit. Now, Malaysia hosts the second largest PIO community and home to skilled and unskilled IT professionals who are contributing in Malaysian economy. India has also announced free e-visas for Malaysian tourists, and Malaysia has also announced the same for tourists of India as well as business travellers to Malaysia as well. Now, MOU was signed on Ayurveda as well as sports and youth affairs along with other subjects. Malaysia has further announced the joining of Big Cat Alliance. Other than that, bilateral trade has also touched $20 billion and Malaysia is third largest trading partner in ASEAN. Further, a task force will also be set up to identify diversifying opportunities between India and Malaysia, as per the special briefing of Ministry of External Affairs on Malaysian Prime Minister's visit to India. Moving on, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim was accorded a ceremonial welcome at India's presidential palace, which is the Rashtrapati Bhavan, earlier in the day. Now, this is the first visit of Prime Minister Ibrahim to India as Malaysia's Prime Minister. The visit will give a boost to India-Malaysia enhanced strategic partnership. Malaysia is a key pillar of India's Act East policy and a valued partner in the region. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim also arrived in India on Monday on a 3-day visit at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Following the ceremonial reception, the visiting Prime Minister of Malaysia proceeded to the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial at Rajghat Memorial Complex to lay a wreath. Ibrahim also signed the visitor's book at Rajghat in New Delhi. India and Japan will hold 2+2 ministerial dialogue in New Delhi on Tuesday. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and their counterparts will take part in the meeting. Ahead of the third India-Japan 2+2 Foreign and Defence Ministerial meeting, Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa and Defence Minister Minoru Kihara met with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi called for stronger Indo-Japan partnership. The leaders reviewed the progress in India-Japan defence and security ties and reaffirmed the important role of their partnership in promoting peace, stability and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region and beyond. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be on a two-day visit to Poland. One of the two unique bonds between India and Poland relates to the time in the year 1940s during World War II, when more than 6,000 Polish women and children found refuge in two princely states of India, which are Jamnagar and Kolhapur. Vishal Paristo caught up with the staff and students of the Bidraska school in Warsaw. The school was set up by the princely state of Jamnagar.
I'm here at the Jamnagar Memorial in Warsaw. Prime Minister would be addressing public here, but it has got an interesting history. The Maharaja of Jamnagar, he arranged for the refuge of around 1,000 Polish children. And I have with me Maria, whose grandfather was the part of that refugee camp. Let's talk to her and find out. Maria, what memories do you have from your grandparents?
Well, the Maharaja has been a figure in my life since I was born. My grandfather always told me stories about how great his childhood was thanks to him. He got to miss out on the awful reality of war and instead has spent his childhood in a paradise built by the Maharaja.
What does this say?
Bednarska is the original street where the school was located during the first years of its existence. And we just printed this t-shirt, we call it a gala t-shirt, to commemorate one of the anniversaries. And we simply wanted to express with the t-shirt not only the connection with the school, but also with the story of the Polish camp over there in Balachady.
Okay. Well, let's talk to the director. How many students do you have and up to which standard and what do you teach?
Actually, I'm teaching business management in the whole entire setup of the school. And there are 8 institutions since 1989, and we have around 2,000 students.
And here it is, this is witness to the greatness of the Maharaja and how he helped the Polish people in 1946. And in his memory, they have erected this monument. With cameraman Sanjeev in Warsaw, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
In response to the escalating global mpox outbreak, the Indian government has increased security measures at the airports, ports and borders with Bangladesh and Pakistan, instructing the authorities to closely screen international travellers for symptoms of the virus. This enhanced vigilance aims to bolster India's defences against the spread of mpox as worldwide cases continue to surge. India's top court, while hearing a suo motu plea on Tuesday in connection with the rape and murder of a trainee doctor in Kolkata, set up a 10-member national task force to make recommendations on prevention of violence and safe working conditions for medical professionals. The court has also directed the national task force to submit an interim report within 3 weeks and the final report within 2 months. Terming the incident as horrific, India's top court came down heavily on the West Bengal government over delay in filing FIR in the matter. The Supreme Court also directed the CBI to file status report by the 22nd of August on investigation in Kolkata rape murder case. The court has also urged protesting doctors to resume work, saying their concern is being received with utmost importance. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare wrote a letter to the heads of the central government, hospitals and institutes, including All India Institute of Medical Sciences, to enhance security measures across all central government healthcare facilities. And now let's take a look at what else is making news in India. On Tuesday, India's Minister of State for Personal, Public Grievance and Pensions, Jitendra Singh, wrote to the chairperson of UPSC requesting the cancellation of lateral entry advertisement following the directions of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Thailand's ambassador to India toured Assam state in country's northeast. He visited the ancient Maidam, famously referred to as the Pyramids of Assam, located near Sivasagar town, which also hold the prestigious title of UNESCO World Heritage Site. Heavy downpours on Tuesday morning caused widespread waterlogging in parts of Delhi, flooding several roads. The Indian Meteorological Department issued an orange alert warning of intense rainfall in multiple states, including Uttarakhand, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Lakshadweep, Puducherry and Kerala. US President Joe Biden on Monday delivered his farewell speech at the opening night of the 2024 Democratic National Convention. In his hour-long speech, attacked the Republican candidate Donald Trump for inciting violence.
Donald Trump promised infrastructure week, every week for 4 years, and he never built a damn thing. But now, because of what Kamala have done, remember, we were told we couldn't get it done. Remember when we came into office, we couldn't get anything passed? But right now, we're giving America an infrastructure decade, not week.
Biden backed Kamala Harris and called nominating her as the best decision made by him. Praising Kamala Harris, he termed her as the future of America.
Selecting Kamala was the very first decision I made when I became our nominee. And it was the best decision I made my whole career. We've not only gotten to know each other, we've become close friends. She's tough, she's experienced, and she has enormous integrity, enormous integrity. Her story represents the best American story. And like many of our best presidents, she was also vice president. That's a joke. But she'll be a president our children can look up to. She'll be a president respected by world leaders because she already is. She'll be a president we can all be proud of. And she will be a historic president who puts her stamp on America's future.
In an emotional address amid standing ovation by his party colleagues gathered from all corners of the country, US President Joe Biden passed the torch to his deputy, Kamala Harris, and said that Donald Trump will see power of women.
I love my country more, and we need to preserve our democracy. In 2024, we need you to vote. We need you to keep the Senate. We need you to win back the House of Representatives. And above all, we need you to beat Donald Trump. And elect Kamala and Tim President and Vice President of the United States of America.
All right, a rare blue supermoon, the first for the year, lit up the skies on Monday night. Stargazers around the world were treated to this extraordinary spectacle that combined two lunar phenomena, a supermoon and a blue moon. That's all for this edition of TD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on TD India. I am Deepika Mehto, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching TD India Live. Namaskar.